Hi everybody, my name is Elizabeth and I'm a librarian here at the LSC Tomball Community Library. Welcome back to Baking is Baking, the series where we only sometimes ever bake anything, but where we are always talking about food. As I'm sure you're already aware, it is nearly Christmas, and I know that every family has their own unique food traditions when it comes to celebrating Christmas. Some families have lavish, full dinners, including a roast turkey similar to Thanksgiving, and some families opt for a bigger brunch, since so much of the Christmas action tends to take place on Christmas morning. When it comes to my family, our food traditions around Christmas have shifted over the years, but one thing has remained consistent, and that is pizza. Yes, you heard me right. Every year on Christmas Eve, my family has pizza. We would normally order it in or go pick it up, but because I now live 900 miles away from my favorite pizza place, we're going to have to get a little bit creative this year. So I hope that you will all join me on this culinary journey for me to create homemade pizza to celebrate this Christmas. So stay tuned and hopefully you can make some new Christmas traditions with me. This recipe is what I would call mostly homemade. I've adapted it from Elise Bauer's recipe for homemade pizza that I found on Simply Recipes, and the mostly here is going to lean heavily on crust, which any big pizza fan will tell you is the make or break of a good pizza. Everything else is essentially garnish, so you can fudge it a little bit with things like sauce, cheese, and toppings, but the crust is going to be 100% homemade. Because of that, although this is going to be an incredibly delicious pizza, it will require some patience. So much so that you're actually going to need to start it the day before you plan to eat it, because we are actually going to be fermenting our dough for 24 hours. So be patient here and let's get started making our pizza. To make the crust, you will need 1.5 cups of warm water, 1 package of active dry yeast, 3 3/4 cups of bread flour, 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, 2 teaspoons of salt, and 1 teaspoon of sugar. To start, we are going to proof our yeast, which is essentially waking it up from its shelf-stable state to make some delicious pizza crust. To do this, we are going to place our warm water in the bowl of a stand mixer. Once our water has been added, sprinkle your dry yeast on top. The yeast should bubble and foam, which means that it's working, but keep an eye on it, and if your yeast hasn't totally dissolved after around 5 minutes, give it a quick stir. Once your yeast has proofed, add your flour, salt, sugar, and olive oil. From here, mix your batter on low for a minute, then replace the attachment on your mixer with a dough hook attachment. From here, up the speed to medium and mix for 7 to 10 minutes. While using a stand mixer is going to make your job a lot easier, the original pizza chefs did not have KitchenAids, so you can, of course, also do this by hand. After you're done mixing, give your dough a poke. You want it to be sticky but not wet. If your dough is still feeling wet, add a bit more flour, mix, and check again. Next, take a large bowl and coat the inside with olive oil. Transfer your dough ball from your mixer and place it into the bowl, coating all sides of the ball with olive oil. Once your dough has been well coated with oil, cover your mixing bowl with plastic wrap or an airtight lid and wait. Here is the real kicker of making delicious pizza crust from scratch. Once your dough is ready to rise, you need to let it rise in the fridge for around 24 hours. While working with this dough probably made you really hungry, this slow fermentation process will ensure a dough that is crunchy, springy, and richly flavored, so you will thank me. Check out one of my other Baking is Making videos for something you can turn around quickly to curb your pizza-related hunger pangs. While you're waiting, there's no better way to get supremely hyped for your delicious pizza than by reading Mastering Pizza, The Art and Practice of Handmade Pizza, Focaccia, and Calzone by Mark Vetri. This is a bread-focused cookbook that approaches a number of delicious, savory Italian baked goods. So if you are ready to swear off delivery, this will be the perfect way to do it. You can check out Mastering Pizza from the Harris County Public Library. 24 whole hours later, we can finally get started on making our finished pizza. To make your pizza, you will need your pizza sauce of choice. I'm using the Kroger brand arrabbiata sauce, but follow your heart here. Any red sauce will be classic, but white sauces, olive oil and garlic bases, pesto, or more avant-garde choices like ranch will also work fine. And of course, your cheese. The classic is mozzarella, but you will want to look out for low moisture mozzarella to ensure that it melts properly. This means that fresh mozzarella that you're likely to see in the cheese section will not be your ideal choice, although it is delicious for a million other things, so buy it anyway. While it may sound suspicious, the shredded mozzarella that you're going to find with the sliced and processed cheeses is actually going to be perfect. I would also recommend adding another stronger cheese for additional flavor. I'm going to use Parmesan, but feta is also a great option. Once we've got our cheeses and sauces sorted, we want our toppings. My go-to toppings are green bell peppers, mushrooms, and red onions, but I assume you've all had pizza before, so choose your favorite toppings. With all of our ingredients gathered, let's make some pizza. First, preheat your oven to 475 with your pizza cooking implement inside. This can be a pizza stone if you have one, but I'm going to be using a pizza pan. A normal sheet pan will also work fine, but keep in mind the shape of your pan when you're working with your pizza dough to make sure your pizza will fit. Preheat your oven and your pizza pan or stone for between 30 minutes and an hour. We want the pan to be piping hot before we put the pizza into the oven, so you get that delicious crisp bottom of the crust that makes a bite of pizza so satisfying. As our pan is heating, we're going to work with our dough. The recipe given here is enough to make 2 pizzas, so split your dough into 2 separate balls. If you don't want to make 2 pizzas, the dough can be stored in the freezer for up to 3 months. Once you've got your dough separated, take the half you're using, or both if you plan on making 2 pizzas, and place it in another bowl covered with either plastic wrap or a lid. We're going to let the separated dough rest for another 15 minutes. While the dough is resting, you can prep your toppings. Although you may want to really load up on toppings, less is more when it comes to good pizza. Too much on your pizza can make your crust soggy and keep it from getting that delicious bite we're looking for. Because of this, use a light hand when you add your fixins. For a benchmark, about 1/3 cup each of pizza sauce and cheese will cover 1 pizza. Now that our dough has rested and our toppings are ready, we're going to work out the dough. Spoiler, I am not a professional pizza chef, so I will not be throwing my dough at any point. Instead, I'm going to lightly flour a work surface and start flattening the dough ball with my hands. Start in the middle and work your way outwards until your dough is about 1/2 inch thick. We want to stretch the dough until it won't pull any further, but we also want to ensure that it won't tear. After you reach that point, flip it over and let it rest for 5 minutes before repeating the process until we get to our desired pizza diameter. Once our crust is roughly the size we're looking for, brush the top with olive oil and let it rest for another 15 minutes. We are in the home stretch here, so be patient. After this final resting period, we can dress our pizza. Add your sauce, your cheese, and your toppings, keeping an eye on the portions to make sure your crust stays nice and crispy. From here, we need to transfer our pizza into the oven. If you happen to have a pizza peel, those long wooden paddles used for pizza ovens, you can use that to place your pizza directly onto your pizza stone or pan in the oven. If not, I know I don't have a pizza peel laying around, carefully remove your pizza stone or pan from the oven, place your pizza on top, and place it back in the oven. If you're doing this method, be exceedingly careful. Your pizza pan is going to be incredibly hot, which will make for an exceptional pizza, but would also easily make for a trip to the hospital, so be mindful. Once your pizza is in the oven, bake for 10 to 15 minutes or until the crust is golden brown. And now you have your amazing, mostly homemade pizza. While it may not be exactly the same as my favorite pizza place back in Kentucky, it is absolutely delicious, so I think it may be time to start a new tradition. Slice your pizza how you choose, triangles or squares, I don't judge, and enjoy. If you're looking for something to watch while you eat, check out some episodes of my screenshot series to find a great movie you can watch for free with your library card, or enjoy this with a friend, as all great holiday foods are meant to be shared. Thank you for watching this episode of Baking is Making. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter so that you never miss a future episode of Baking is Making or any of our other great online programs. Also, please let me know what your family's Christmas food traditions are, or what your food traditions are with other winter holidays that are happening right now. I feel like pizza is kind of a strange one, but I've gotten attached to it, but I also would love to hear whatever it is that your family gets up to around this time of the year. Thank you again so much for watching, and please have a very, very happy holiday, and I will see you in the new year. Bye!